Hi, this is Pei-I. Welcome to You Ask Pei-I Answers. This is where I answer parents of teenagers who have questions about parenting their teenagers. It could be a challenge, it could be a thing they're going through. So this is the channel where I speak about and answer parents' question. However, before I dive into the challenge today, let me share my family health warning with you if this is the first time you're watching my video. Everything I share with you in my video is very general. It's a generic insights and observation that I share with you. And without knowing the family context and your family circumstances, it's really difficult to pinpoint or suggest bespoke and tailor-made parenting strategies that fit into your family circumstances. So it's really important for you to self-assess if what I'm sharing with you today fit into apply to your family for circumstances, or if you apply to your family context. And if it doesn't, simply move on. You don't need to try the strategies. That is fine. It's very important for you to think about what I'm saying today is like, that might fit into my family circumstances. Let me think about that a bit more. Okay. And if it doesn't, simply move on. Okay. And that is okay. I'd rather you move on than trying the strategy and it doesn't work for your family. Right. Now let's think about the challenge the family is facing today, and the challenge the family is wanting to find the answers to is, how do we teach our teenage children emotional mature habits? Right, this is such a big question, and it's a very good question too. I suppose my thinking, as usual, without knowing your family circumstance, it's really important for you to know what emotional mature habits are. What do they mean for your family, in your culture, in your belief, what they are. So that is a really important thing for you to think about first. What are they? What do you mean? What do they look like? Right? Once you know what they are, then you're able to teach your children emotional mature habits. But for me, based on my experience, my own culture, my work with the teenagers and young people and families, for me, the definition of emotional mature habits involves a few elements of things, right? And the first thing will be about self-awareness. That means I'm a person, an individual, is that I am aware of my own feelings, my thoughts, my behavior, and how they influence each other, right? You need to have that self-awareness first. And what triggers me, what makes me upset? Is it from the present or is it from the past? Why am I so upset? And why do I behave this way when I'm angry, right? So that is really important to have that self-awareness to teach your teenage children emotional mature habits. For me, that's the first one. Second one is the self-regulation. Is once I know these are my triggers, these are how I feel, these are my feelings, how do I self-regulate? How do I process the feelings? How do I make sense? How do I make meaning of these feelings and allow these feelings to have a place to go, or to let it go? And that's really important. And it takes a lot of practice and skills practice. To be able to teach someone. And you know what? I'm nearly 50 years old. I sometimes still need help to self-regulate. And it depends on the circumstance. I could be so worked up and now have to do my breathing technique and all these things. So it's very normal. Even if you're 60 years old, 70 years old, you will still struggle with emotional regulation at times, not alone a teenager. So it takes a lot of practice to do the to be able to do the self-regulation side. Right, so the first one, self-awareness, then is the self-regulation. And a third, once you know how to self-regulate, right, and having awareness, I think it's about being able to communicate your feelings to the people around you, right? And then that is about being able to talk about what your needs are, what your feelings are, right? And that is really important. For example, I could be very upset about things at work, and I need my husband to be more understanding when I come home. I want to be well looked after, and I can simply just communicate that rather than storm in or being snappy and everything. I can simply say, I have a really difficult day at work, and I really appreciate you looking after me a bit more today and spend more time with me or listen to me. So it's really important for the person, or for us wanting to emotional mature habits, to be able to communicate that. Now I just remembered I have not shared my definition of emotional mature habits, right? For me, I was telling exactly what I think I involve, but I think for me, let me just rewind and recap and say, for me, it's about us having a healthy relationship with ourselves and other people, right? And that for me is emotional mature habits, what it means, and the components I just share with you. So now let's look at the next thing. So self-awareness, self-regulation, and effective communication. And then the next one is healthy boundaries. Right. Sometimes, I mean, I grew up in an Asian culture and there's less individualism. There's a lot of collectiveness. And what that means is you're always thinking about other people. You're always thinking about prioritizing others first. And if you think about yourself, you're being selfish, right? But it's just different way of thinking, different way of living. And sometimes when you're in that, in that environment about collectiveness, the boundaries can be really blurred, and it can be like, everybody's in everybody's business, everybody's feeling about everybody's feeling and want to take on their feelings and not being able to say no, or not being able to go, right, these are mine, those are yours. So that's what I meant is the healthy emotional boundaries. You are being able to say no and being able to separate, actually, these feelings are mine and those are feelings are yours. And I'm not saying don't be compassionate, don't be empathetic. I'm simply saying there needs to be a cut off boundaries as to, right, do you know what? I know he's really, really, or she's really, really upset, but I'm not going to be responsible for the person's feelings. I can be there for them, but I don't need to be like, carry on the burden, say, right, I need to make them happy or whatever that looks like for you. And that, for me, that is a very important emotional mature habits, being able to draw the healthy boundaries on the emotional side, being able to say no and differentiate what is yours, what is not. And of course, there are many more things you can think about, like resilience, it's a really good element as part of emotional mature habits. When we experience difficulties, you want to bounce back, and how can we still have a positive outlook of life when things are being really difficult, or being empathetic about other people. So there are many elements involved in this, but if you think about start from the very starting point, what I'm saying, you need to define what that emotional mature habits mean for you, then for your family, then think about what, after what you think about what it means, and think about what are the things that involve in these things. Once you know what are these things that being involved, a part of emotional maturity and habits, then you can teach your teenage children each element of them. Like for me, I gave an example for some of the elements I think is really important. How do I teach my teenage children to be self-aware of their feelings? And is it about me as an adult, as a parent, model that, or is it about me naming the feelings when I see they're being upset, so then I can help them understand, actually, these are your triggers, and these are your, this is how you behave when you are really angry. So that's really, really important to think about these things. And I hope this is really helpful. You know what? There's one thing I think I have forgotten to say. That is another thing for me, for a very important element, is taking responsibilities of your own feelings and for your own actions that is driven by your own feelings, instead of blaming other people. You did this, so I did this, and that is, for me, is not emotional mature. Right? But that is my definition, and the elements involved in emotional mature habits doesn't mean it's the same for your family. Like I said, start with your own family, start with your own thinking about the definition, thinking about the elements of it, then thinking about what you need to do to teach your children emotional mature habits. And I hope this is helpful. I will see you in the next You Ask Pei-I Answers. Bye.